Humanity's a bitch, sang my old star mate David Bowie. Homo sapiens have outgrown their use. You've got to make way for Homo superior. What happens when the kids of today become the kids of tomorrow?
There was many an attractive girl in her 20s used to come to me and say, I used to rush home from school to see your programme, I thought you were gorgeous. And I'd say, oh, what are you doing tonight? And they'd say, no, that was then.
Tomorrow People was very much ITV's answer to Doctor Who, but only in the same way that Magpie was their answer to Blue Peter.
Tomorrow People was about these young kids who discovered that they're the next level of human evolution, the rather unfortunately named Homo superior.
But members of a vigorous new federation, which from now on will look to young people like yourselves for guidance.
These sci-fi super scouts were the brainchildren of commune-dwelling hippie Roger Price, who borrowed his idea from Pop's favourite spaceman.
Roger Price had interviewed David Bowie. I don't know why or how this had occurred. And he was very inspired by this meeting and lifted the notion of the Homo superior from all you pretty things.
Roger Price was a genius, but he was quite mad.
You showed us the error of our ways. We were wrong and you were right.
The Tomorrow People is about a generation of human beings that develop an ability to be able to read minds.
You guys really creating them with your minds?
Sure, Morgan. It's easy.
And to jaunt.
Bye!
We were able to help and we were able to stop the world from being devastated by alien invasion, but we could do it without the message of aggression. That was the key.
Oh, they're shooting at us!
What do you expect to do, Mike? Send us flowers? Okay, everyone, bring in our sauce and space fleet.
Right.
The goals of the Tomorrow People are always to save the planet, save humanity, save everybody in the universe. It's a task that we did with consummate ease every week.
The public loved it. The proof's in the pudding.
Or rather a mind-bending space cake. The Tomorrow People were sold in 52 territories, apart from Sweden, where they found it too psychologically violent.
The whole world is asleep.
To be a Tomorrow person, you had to break out, like a kind of sci-fi puberty, but without all that unsightly body hair.
Breaking out was a pubescent teenage rebellious function, if you like. You felt odd, you had fits, you had people talking to you in your head and you were thinking, wow, I'm going mad, what's going on here?
No, leave me alone.
The strange things you go through in adolescence could be described and explained as actually you about to inherit superpowers. That was very seductive.
If you weren't being understood by your parents, if your friends didn't like you, you could just say, don't worry, as soon as I get my powers, you'll get yours.
And once you'd broken out, you were free to row with an all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipresent computer dad called Tim.
You're nothing but an artificial intelligence. What right have you got to keep me here?
I am not keeping you, Mike. You are free to go.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to be rude.
Tim was effectively a lava lamp, in a way, with a few buttons and bubbles on top. But at the time, that was pretty incredible. I mean, nowadays we probably demand more from our special effects and everything, but at the time that's all you needed, because it was all in your head anyway.
People look back on it nostalgically and say, well, yes, of course, it was the 70s, so no wonder the special effects weren't as good as they might have been. But that's nonsense. We could have done better special effects, but we didn't have the money.
The poor producers and directors and the artists had to work hours and hours and hours to achieve a quality kind of believable sci-fi series.
Our weapons
Or maybe just hire a giant peanut knob-like costume and go down the pub.
are leaving this puny planet.
Obey me. You must obey me.
Of course, one of the things that people remember about Tomorrow People is that it had this connection with this strange band Flintlock.
You really want to see Mike and his friends turn out to be glorified Bay City rollers with no life of their own and thousands of screaming girl fans chasing after them?
Mike Holloway, who was the drummer in Flintlock, was Mike in the Tomorrow People, and Flintlock actually turned up in one of the stories.
The story was that I, as the rebellious Tomorrow person, had my own little pop band down in the local hall, and we happened to stumble across this rhythm, which I stumbled on, which was ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, bum, ba-bum, ba-bum.
However, introducing popular beat music to sci-fi didn't please everyone.
Somebody phone for an ambulance.
No, she's going to be all right now. Come on. Just being sent by the music.
They had their own TV series as well, I believe, and they had a massive hit that went roaring up to number 30 or something, and disappeared, jaunted out of the charts fairly quickly.
And soon the Tomorrow People jaunted off TV, as Roger Price quit and disappeared. No one's seen him since.
As all good sci-fi fans know, you can't really be alone. But he's obviously found some corner of the universe where he can hide away. Only the Tomorrow People could probably find him, I would think.
The show ended in 1979, but some true believers still can't let go.
These people are serious. I mean, they believe they are breaking out. They believe they are going into the superior Homo sapien phase, and it's a worry.
That really never happened. I never quite developed my psychic powers. But I still might.
What everybody has to realise about the Tomorrow People is that after all said and done, it's not real, and it was just a programme.
My old golfing partner, Philip K. Dick, said, "The ultimate paranoia is not that everyone is out to get you, but that everything is out to get you." At Sinister number 7, the most paranoid primetime show ever broadcast, and the most peculiar, you might recognize the stars. But what planet were they on?
We have been told that certain people are experimenting with time. People from the not-too-distant past or the not-too-distant future. Am I right?
That's right, yes.
And consequently, as nobody should mess around with time...
Except us.
That these people are in danger.
It was launched as sort of mainstream television, primetime television, as if it was a soap or something, or as if these days it was reality TV. There was a big hype on it. You know, it was going to be a big thing.
Transuranic heavy elements may not be used where there is life. Medium atomic weights are available. Gold, lead, copper, jet, diamond, radium, sapphire, silver, and steel. Sapphire and steel have been assigned.
Sapphire and Steel were two totally fictitious characters. One in a grey suit, Steel, and one in a blue dress, Sapphire, and that's about as much as we know about them.
They are difficult to explain, and I'm still asked questions about who they are, and I don't know.
It was great because it never explained who they were. We didn't need to know who they were, but they'd come along to do something.
Of course, we did know who they were. He was the man from U.N.C.L.E., she was a new Avenger. Same hairstyle, different lengths. But once they became spooky time detectives on primetime TV, confusion reigned. Scary no-face photographs, phantom railway stations, and the tormented screams of flying pillows and slaughtered swans. These time crimes were solved with the occasional help of lumbering lead and cheeky posh ponce, silver.
The pure essence of the programme was just them puzzling over puzzles, constantly. The puzzle of time. That was it, week in, week out.
Find it, Sapphire. Find the darkness.
Sapphire and Steel was this very dark and oppressive and claustrophobic show. I mean, the two heroes were fighting. They were fighting sort of concepts. They were fighting the concepts of loss and guilt and misery and pain. They were the real villains there. And this was sort of, you know, just after tea time.
No.
It's a sci-fi detective story. I wanted to get away from the idea of people going back in time. So I thought a good idea would be to have a couple of detectives who are trying to deal with a situation of time breaking in.
There is a corridor, and the corridor is time. It surrounds all things, and it passes through all things.
But I don't like this idea of time being a fabric, and a fabric that's stretched and in some places is probably threadbare.
This corridor, can you enter it? No, not in the way you imagine. You cannot enter into time. But sometimes time can try to enter into the present. Break in, burst through and take things. Take people.
If that fabric of time was broken in some way, it was a disastrous situation for the Earth and for the whole of life on Earth. And whenever someone did something that possibly could reverse time or break that fabric, two agents were sent from some far-off place to come and correct the situation.
In wigs and contact lenses.
The attack has started.
I think P.J. Hammond and Sean O'Riordan didn't think of the forces that came back to break this fabric of time as malevolent necessarily. I think they all had a good reason. That's why that whole one in the abattoir with the agony of the animals being killed, I mean, there's a justification there.
Don't worry, no one got it. That was the point.
Oh, the fact that you couldn't understand a word of what was going on in Sapphire and Steel was definitely the best thing about it. Absolutely riveting. Sometimes it's best not to know, because you can just let your imagination go right.
We decided we wanted to make it a bit of fun, as well as being a supernatural thriller, and we didn't want to explain too much.
Wow, not yet.
Well, there it is. But how do we open it? It has no lock, no handle, remember?
Steel was the intellectual, the logical planner, the leader, the general. Sapphire was a more feeling creature, sentient creature who could sort of tune in.
No, the sun is shining. It's very bright. It's almost dazzling.
They were just a very, very good foil for each other, and they were both very attractive looking in their own way. It was high quality nonsense.
Yep, two blonde bombshells with all the time in the world, and the biggest question of all, was he giving her one?
What obviously everybody wanted, and why they'd probably given them the vast amounts of money, was that the whole idea was would they, wouldn't they? That it was a David Duchovny, Gillian thing, that it was like Moonlighting with Bruce and Sybil. Would they or wouldn't they?
Which side of the bed would you prefer?
I don't know. That sort of begs the question, what do agents of that ilk get up to in their private moments? And the mind boggles.
No spaceships, no ray guns, and no men in silver suits. It was about atmosphere, fear, and creaking stairs.
As a child, growing up, watching Sapphire and Steel, it scared the living hell out of me. They don't make shows that scary anymore. They make them jokey, but you did not dare go to bed with the light off after Sapphire and Steel.
Undead, undead, undead. The programme wasn't about giving answers and wasn't about any form of explanation of anything at all, and therefore kept everything open-ended. Nothing was resolved, so that can be disturbing. Certainly in British primetime television, everybody wants everything to be sorted out, end with a kiss, end with some form of happiness. This I believe, ended with them being adrift in space.
Where they came from, who knows? Where they went when that brief series ended, no one knows. But I'd sure like to find out. It would be wonderful to do it all again, just to explain who the hell Sapphire and Steel really were.
Time for a break in the space-time continuum. But
will the universe be the same when you return?